Morning, everybody.
Morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good to see you. We'll start in a few minutes. I know today is the day before. Tonight is the holiday of Shavuos. People are busy. We have our regulars from Eretz Yisrael in the land of Israel who cannot be on because there already is Chag. It's already the holiday. But we have to learn Torah and get ready for the Yontiv. God is coming tomorrow, and He's going to give us the Ten Commandments again with all that it represents. Okay, wait another minute or so. Second. Okay, we'll begin, as we have in the last month, with words of prayer. Start with chapter 20, as we do in the book of Psalms. We'll have in mind all those who are on the front line, who are battling for the safety of Klal Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel and Gaza and beyond, and all over where there are wars. And especially we'll have in mind the hostages be all returned safely to their families as soon as possible, even before the holiday. Start with 20. David. For the conductor, a psalm by David. May the Lord answer you on the day of distress. May the name of the God of Jacob fortify you. May He send your help from the sanctuary and support you from Zion. May He remember all your offerings and always accept favorably your sacrifices. May He grant you your heart's desire and fulfill your every counsel. We will rejoice in the deliverance and raise our banners in the name of our God. May the Lord fulfill all your wishes. Now I know that the Lord had delivered His anointed one, and answering him from His holy heaven with His mighty saving power with right hand. Some rely upon chariots and some upon horses, but we rely upon and both the name of the Lord our God. They bend and fall, but we rise and stand firm. Lord, deliver us. May the King answer us on the day that we call. Chapter 23. A psalm by David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He lays me down in the green pastures, He leads me beside still waters. Revives my soul, He directs me in the path of righteousness for the sake of His name. Though I walk in the valley, the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they will comfort me. You will prepare a table for me before my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup is full. Only goodness and kindness shall follow me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for many long years. Chapter 124, the Rebbe Kapitel. A song of ascents by David. Were not for the Lord who was with us, let Israel declare. Were it not for the Lord who was with us when men rose up against us. Then they would have swallowed us alive in their burning rage against us. Then the waters would have inundated us, the torrent would have swept over our soul. Then the raging water would have surged over our soul. Blessed the Lord, who did not permit us to be prey for their teeth. Our soul is like a bird which had escaped from the fowler's snare. The snare broken, we escape. King David concludes, I'll help us in the name of the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth.
Here, I'll show you something.
And so tonight, we're getting ready for the holiday of Shavuos, for this great, awesome historical day. Not only a historical day, which happened many thousands of years ago, it's happening, going to be happening again. Please, somebody has to, please mute yourself. Just want to say two things. Tomorrow, the first day of Shavuos, I urge everybody to find a synagogue near where you live. Go hear the reading of the Ten Commandments. That's the first day of Shavuos. Tuesday is Yizkor. We are also remembering all those of the deceased parents, family, those who we remember. So a special prayer is on Tuesday, Yizkor, those 2 days. And tonight, tradition is that we sit up a whole night and we learn Torah. And I'll just begin with a story. Well, we had these Stevens students. I mean, even when we were young, we used to know that Shavuos night, we sat and we learned. At 3 a.m. in the morning, I could see it like I'm there right now. 3 a.m. in the morning, the Holy Rebbe would come out of blessed memory at 3 exact and deliver a Hasidic discourse, which usually ran between 45 minutes and an hour. And he was pale. He walked out like, angelic, was like an angel. I was right not far under where the Rebbe spoke, packed 3 o'clock in the morning. Then Abiel kind of all of a sudden, the Rebbe got up and left. There was no singing before or after. Just came out. He looked and he closed his eyes and began to say the Maimon, the Hasidic discourse. Abiel, all of a sudden, Mashpia, the one who reviewed the Rebbe's Torah, and I have to understand it's Yontiv, but there's no tape recorders. I still say tape recorders. Okay, there was no tape recorders taping the Rebbe. We had to review it. And then after Yontiv, submitted to the Rebbe. We sat down about 4 o'clock in the morning till about 5, and we kind of went back and forth, and he argued about which we all got into it. Hundreds gathered around to get it down. We should have it. Then we all went to the mikveh. Tonight, early morning tomorrow, everybody, thousands of people streaming to the mikveh. Now it's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Then Abiel will go to Rab Shiakov, all of a shalom, and about 20 boys, 20 yeshiva students went with him, with the Masorah tradition, and Levitin prepared for us blintzes. That was the first taste of blintzes in the morning. Have you heard of blintzes? Well, blintzes, look it up. Today you can Google and find out what a good blintz is. And he would review the Maimer again, review the Rebbe's discourse again. Now, this was a very small group of about 20 yeshiva students. By the time we got done, that was about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then 10 o'clock was morning services. So we all streamed back to the shul. No, we hadn't slept the whole night to participate in the prayers together with the Rebbe. So anybody of the yeshivas, to whoever was until about 1, 2 o'clock after the meeting, that we finally kind of went into a little bit of a slumber of sleep. That was how we tonight, the night of Shavuos, that was devoted. That was how we prepared ourselves. Now we learned, and with a high special spiritual godly moment in my experience, as I'm sure hundreds and hundreds of others. So we're here today, and we're preparing ourselves for Shavuos. Now, the topic that I chose, well, this is a famous Gemara. It's not a famous Gemara, and there are a lot of discussions about this. Now, here we are. Let's try to put ourselves in a historical perspective. We are all here now, ready. We just went out of Egypt, marched out of Egypt, and we're going where? Eventually to the promised land, but there's a major stop first before we can go anywhere, really, is Sinai, because we haven't yet solidified the contract between Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, that generation, all generations, the Noahide code, which was given at Sinai for all humanity, hadn't yet been solidified. I always say we left Egypt. That was the first stop, the first step. Like, you signed the earnest money when you close the property. That's an earnest money step. But we got to get to Sinai. Sinai is when we close the deal. All of us closed the deal at Sinai. So 49 days, we're marching to Sinai. Of course, in the middle there, the splitting of the sea, and there's the ups and downs. But then there's a historical verse, which we have discussed in the past, unprecedented before or after. We're trying to get to that point again. It's not easy. We're working thousands of years on this one. But they achieved it, they, meaning the ones who marched out of Egypt after over hundreds and hundreds of years of slavery. It says, Vayichen in Yisro, Vayichen Sham Yisro, Yichan, it says in the singular. The singular. You're talking about millions of men, women, and children. Torah says, not Vayachnu, they rested, plural, Vayichan in the singular, Ki Ishach b'lavechot, with one heart, Ishach as one person and one heart. They were all on the same page. Could you imagine millions of Jews on the same page? I mean, try to even envision something as crazy as that in today's society. We're working to that. We're getting there. Or humanity on one page. They achieved that. They came and they were on one page, ready with excitement, anticipation to receive the divine word at Sinai. A pristine spiritual high, unrealized, like I said before or after. That was the moment. And then says this comes this famous Gemara, which you all have if you read the email. The Gemara, right here in Shabbos Peches, we talk about the whole deal with Moses going up to the mountain, getting the 10 Commandments, and the angels saying, why are you giving it to him? The people of flesh and blood. The whole conversation goes on between Moshe Rabbeinu and the angels, and God is sitting over there adjudicating to what's going to be here. Okay. In that, there's a statement. They stood at the foot, literally in the bottom of the mountain. Avdimi Okay, Avdimi, son of Ḥama, son of Ḥasa. Why 3 generations? Another discussion. Malamid, what is the Torah teaching us? She kofa HaKadosh Baruch Hu aleim as a hakagigas. The teachers that the Holy One, blessed be, covered them with the mountain Sinai, as though it were an upturned vat. Vat, you know, one of these big vats. And he said to them, if you accept the Torah, fine. This is punch time now. But if not, your burial will be right there, right here. I'm gonna level it. Wow. Wait, why would that? We're all together. We all marched together. We came to such a pristine moment. Why would you have to say something like that? We're standing there, men, women, and children, with anticipation to receive the divine word. Why would he come with a thing like that? That we're saying that they were at the end, there was a hesitation. They would say it in English. Klal Yisrael blinked, and Hashem had to say, no, you're going through with this, or you're all going to be buried here. And then we say the next statement, everything comes out something good. From Abba said, from here stemmed the strong ground for a notification of coercion regarding acceptance of the Torah. You know, you forced us. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, footnote says, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu from Rashi says, that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu demands to know why we did not fulfill all of the commitments of the Torah, we could say we were coerced. So we have a little bit of an out. God forbid, if we're a sinner, well, you know, we could say, you know, hey, this was not an open deal. But when the Gemara concludes, Amarava, when did we finally accept it? Ava became Hadu Kablu B'Achashverosh. In the time of Queen Esther, in the time of Achashverosh. Nevertheless, they accepted the Torah again in the days of Achashverosh. They said, Kibu v'Kiblu. Famous word, Kibu v'Kiblu, HaYehudim. The Jews established and accepted. Kibu Mashiach Kva. They established in the days of Achashverosh, Mordechai, Queen Esther, that which they had already accepted in the days of Moses. Kind of that they solidified 1,000 years later. They solidified in saying, Okay, we got a full-hearted deal to a certain extent. So, what is this about? What is this about? Where do you see that they hesitated? Why would they have hesitated? But this is the deal, and they lived up to the deal. They came as one person. So I gave you the word. The Rebbe gewaltige Chiddush. It's in what I sent you. We have another time, right? As we go into Egypt, there's a statement of coercion. We say it in the Haggadah. We say it Passover night. Onus up here, Diba. He went down to Egypt. Who's he? Jacob, Yaakov Avinu. He's coming down. He's in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel, but there's a famine. And you want to have the food and save your family, provide for them, you've got to come to Egypt because Joseph is in Egypt. They've got it all. We're not going to send it to you in Eretz Yisrael. You got to come here. You got to come right to us. So reluctantly, Yaakov packs it all up. Honors up here, Diba. He was forced by the decree of God to Abraham before that his children would be exiled. You're going down to Egypt. Even though Yaakov knew, yeah, we're going to get the food now and we're going to be able to survive. But we're going into hundreds of years of nebuch, depression, annihilation. Our children are going to be thrown into the Nile. Slavery. Onus. So the Rebbe said, how could you say about Yaakov Avinu? Yaakov Avinu, who the chariot of God, like all of the patriarchs and the matriarchs. A chariot is one who the conduit to the fulfillment of God's will with no agenda on their own. How could you say that Yaakov, told by God, you've got to go now to Egypt, was forced? He was coerced. How does that work with someone who's the conduit to God? Maybe let somebody like Rabbi Levitin, I'm going to be forced. You talk about Yaakov Avinu. You talk about the greatest of the great, who knows the mission, accepts the mission, and has achieved the level of being a Merkava. And the Alter Rebbe talks about in Tanya, Merkava means like a way, a chariot through which God, you don't have your own desires. What God says you do. And here you're being forced when God says to go. So the Rebbe says a word that here, being that Yaakov knew what was going to happen here, knew the whole process, knew what they're going to be, his children, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, hundreds of years going to go through. Reluctance is an integral part to the success of the mission. You've got to have to leave Eretz Yisrael, the Holy Land, to live in a abode which is holy, have to come into a golus, into an exile. And the abjab, as we know when we say it by the Seder, part of the process is that you don't fully, of course, with joy you accept the mission, but there's something there that to show we're doing it for you, God, and we're doing it with joy. We're doing it with joy. But a little bit, you know what you're doing to us. That's part of the process, but we're not stopping, we're not hesitating, we're going. Mele here, going into Egypt, was a coercion. We can understand that. You're talking about when they're standing together, they achieve such a unity together, and the anticipation. And here you say to me that they had to take the mountain over them? If not, boo, boo. And not just, so we got two questions here when you dice it up. One is, where did that come from? Number two, the second is, which is common, well, if we didn't fully, wholeheartedly, really accept the Torah, later by Achashverosh, took 1,000 years. If we didn't fully, so we have an issue here of coercion. This whole discussion about coercion in halacha is a major, major discussion. It's not a simple discussion. Yeah, the Rambam talks about right in the beginning that there are those things that we quoted, that there are, generally speaking, if somebody comes to you with a gun and says, I don't want you to fast in Yom Kippur. If you do, I'm going to shoot you on the spot. You don't fast. Your life comes first. Someone tells you to shoot somebody, or if they take your life, you're not allowed to shoot somebody. There are three things. Or serve idol. You're not allowed. The biggies. Or violate immoral act. You're not allowed. But everything else, your life, chai b'hem, live with Torah. Torah. The word of Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name. But like this, your life comes first. That's part of Torah. That's part of the institution of Torah. That your life comes first. Now, they come to cause shilas in the ghetto, the Achman and the Slan. They had tremendous. They had to deal with shilas about they were in the Kovna ghetto. They had to get they let a little bit of they had to give out the lead of a little revolt with the whole shilah, whole night. The Rabbanim sat. Can they give out the one because or else they're going to shoot 50 or take down 100 people? The Germans said they don't give out a yoch. The whole these are heavy discussions with relevance, even talking to today's situation. You think the hostages are not a major situation in halacha? You're talking about a major of going and making and letting out mechablim, letting out 100 for one of sworn enemies. These are heavy shalos in Jewish law, which I'm not ruling here in any way, God forbid, to give any kind of sense one way or another. All I'm saying is these are serious issues what they're dealing with right now. So here we're talking about you coerced Klal Yisrael, so we get to the halacha of coercion. Now I'm going to bring you the halacha, a certain discussion about, we're concluding now the 7 weeks, starting with Pesach, concluding with Shavuos. So we're going to go all back to a halacha about matzah. That's one halacha. Then we go even back before about blowing of the shofar. Halachas about coercion. We have a Rambam. The Rambam says in Hilchos Chamos Matzah, and it's based on the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Daf Chof Ches 28. Okay. This is the Rambam Chametz and Matzah, the Lord of Chametz and Matzah, Chametz and leaven and unleavened. Chapter 6. Law Halacha 3. Says the Rambam as follows: Ochel matzah b'lei kavana. A person who eats matzah without the intention to fulfill the mitzvah. For example, says the Rambam, what did it mean he ate matzah without the intention to eat, to have? He was coerced. Thieves, those who specifically didn't want him to do it, does he fulfill his obligation? Said the Rambam, yes. The Rambam said he fulfilled his obligation. Coerced to eat matzah. Meaning he didn't have any kavanah. Now we have to dissect what does it mean b'lei kavanah, what kavanah. And here we're going to get into Shulchan Aruch, Shulchan Aruch, and Mr. Bruno Shulchan. There are nuances here which have ramifications, not only in this halacha. Okay. Where is the source to the Rambam? The Rambam is from the Gemara, like I said, in Rosh Hashanah, which says, Persians, this is a quote, Persians force a person to eat matzah, he fulfilled the obligation. Background of it, but that's the statement. Okay. This opens up a whole doors about a whole the situation about when you do mitzvahs, you do commandments of God. If you follow God's will, do you have to have intent? Yes, I am now going to fulfill, I'm going to my father and mother's house to perform kibbut avim. I'm going to take my mother out for lunch. I'm doing the mitzvah, which is one of the 10 commandments, honor your father, honor your mother. Or I could take her out for lunch, even though my mind is someplace else. And, I like to be in the game downtown. Or worries. But I'm taking her out for lunch, even though my mind is someplace else. And I don't want to really even be here. But I'm a good actor. She doesn't even know it. But she really does know it, but she's not going to say it. Honor your father, honor your mother. We're going to read that tomorrow. Well, here the Rambam is saying b'lei kavana. You eat matzah b'lei kavana, you are coerced, you are performing a mitzvah. Does that apply across the board by all kinds of mitzvahs? How far? What does it mean by kavana? So let's first go into this specific halacha. We brought you the Rambam and bring up and read how he follows, and then the Mishnah who introduces another specific element which the Rebbe Shulchan does not mention, but the Mishnah does bring it up, which is okay. This is the halacha here is in 475. The halacha begins as follows. This is 28. I'll read it in English. If one ate matzah without the proper intent, he did not intend to fulfill the obligation to eat matzah with his eating. He nevertheless fulfilled his obligation. The sage's statement that whenever a person performs a mitzvah without intent, he did not intend to fulfill the obligation. When performing the act, he does not fulfill his obligation. We find differently. Applies only with regard to mitzvahs, commandments that do not involve physical satisfaction. For example, recitation of the Shema. Shema, here, God one. Sounding of shofar. Taking the lulav. Rosh Hashanah, you blow the shofar. Lulav, the 4 species on sukkahs, and the like. In those instances, when one does not intend to perform a mitzvah, he does not fulfill the mitzvah at all, for he is merely performing a casual activity. Misasik, which is a whole discussion. What means casual? That's misasik. The best English I've seen is on this. The word misasik is a casual. You casually going to your father and your mother. You're casually visiting somebody in the sick. You're casually helping somebody in the streets. A homeless person. Misasik. Well, are you really helping the people on the street by being casual? Are you full in? That's called misasik, which is a whole powerful discussion on its own. But the Rebbe says his act is not considered performing a mitzvah. In these, but mitzvah tluya b'achila, by contrast, mitzvahs that involve eating, for example, the eating of the Pesach, the sacrificial offering, the time of the temple, matzah, more bitter herbs, since yesh ben hanor leguf, since they lead to physical satisfaction, even though one did not intend to fulfill his obligation of eating matzah, nonetheless, he does fulfill his obligation. Why? The rationale is since the body, despite the person's intention, derives satisfaction from the eating the food, he's said to have eaten it, and thus he fulfilled the mitzvah of eating. The mitzvah of eating, a deal, meaning matzah, you have to eat. You have to digest. I'm not saying you have to love the matzah from New York or from Israel, whatever, play out. That's not a discussion. Everybody commenting on the matzahs, the shmor matzah. I like matzah, okay? But you have to digest it. That is the key of a mitzvah. And you digested it. Became part and parcel of you. That's the main part of the mitzvah. So even though b'shas ma'atad, you're doing it because you are coerced to eat it, but you're eating. So this halacha this is an explanation of what the Rambam says on the Gemara is satisfactory to perform the mitzvah. Okay? But let's say, for example, of other situations, like, for example, I have a hypothetical. If I perform the mitzvah of achnosa zocha, inviting guests to my house. And I don't really want to invite guests to my house. Chas v'shalom, let's say hypothetically, God forbid, there's somebody out there, maybe there's nobody out there. But they're sitting around there in the shul, and I just feel guilty. I got to take them home or whatever. Or someone is going to come in, they're knocking on the door, and I want to do something else, and they're knocking on the door. I walk in, and I take them around the table, and I provide them with food, and I smile, and they eat. What's the mitzvah? That they eat, and they eat. My intention is I want to go to sleep. I want to be alone, myself, my spouse, or want to be alone in general. But they came into my house, they ate the mitzvah, the Avadi. You have to also show not just the food, but I did that and I gave them a sumptuous meal. The best of the best. I gave them what I ate, but my heart's not in it. So would you say, what's the Hachnosus Ochem here? Is it part of matzah? Or is it part of the shofar, which I don't know? The mitzvah, that person has to be fed. He's being fed, although my kavanah, I don't have any intent whatsoever to do this. So I would say, and I think in my Pilpul mind, that you have performed the mitzvah of welcoming the guests into your home, because your main thing is to provide them, and you show you're not angry, you don't show anything, God forbid, you make it feel comfortable. But my mind is, when are they going to leave? Because I can go to sleep or read my book. But I could say, but the main thing is, I did give them food, I was accommodating, I was proper, I made them feel at home, although my heart's not in it. So I would say, that mitzvah you've done, just like I've done when I eat matzah. That's a pilpul in the pilpul. All right? One to the other. That's how you should learn. When you're learning pilpul, one mind, one law should lead to another law. Another question. That's the mouth of Rebbe's position. Then the Rebbe says a caveat. When do we say the position when you eat matzah, you perform the mitzvah? Coerced, 29. All the above applies when the person knew that this night was Pesach, Livelu Pesach, and that it was matzah that he was eating. But he ate the matzah without intent to fulfill the mitzvah. Or he ate it against his will. Okay, very important. Against his will. What does against his will mean? It could be different kind of levels. Again, we dice. This is the Pilpul got to cut it. Against his will is, I don't want to be bothered. I'm not. What are you talking? I'm thinking the markers. I'm thinking. I know what I'm thinking about. What do you bother me about the matzah and this night? It's not that you had anything. That's not me. I don't like that. Against his will mean it's not. Or you can say, against his will mean even if he proactively thinks, I really don't want to do this mitzvah. This Meshuggah Chabadnik is making me crazy. I'm by his table. He's not letting me go. But I don't want to do it. A proactive no. What does the name Shleiber Tzono? Against his will. Against his will, but I don't want it. It's not that I'm. So you can leave it at that. Come to the Mr. Brewer and adds one word. And this Shaila about what does it mean that Shleiber Tzono said Yotidei Chavos. This is again 475. But they're efshe, said the Mr. Brewer. But maybe when a person says proactively, I don't want to do this mitzvah. I don't want to eat this matzah. Don't bother me. I don't want to do it. But they're efshe, said the Mr. Brewer. Maybe the God Fay, maybe there's a question whether to perform in the mitzvah, even though there is a difference because matzah, gerene, you consumed it, and the mitzvah is the achila, you ate it, and it became part and parcel of you. V'le yotza. And it could be in a case like that where there's a proactive, where you proactively say, no, you can stuff it down me, but I'm not performing the mitzvah. I don't believe it. I don't want to know about it. No. You're forcing me with a gun. I'm going to take it. But I don't do this. God forbid there should be someone like that. Said the Mr. Brewer, maybe then he's not performing the mitzvah. Even though this is the mitzvah of where he ate the mitzvah, he ate and he became part and parcel. That there's this distinction, which all of the Achronim say, between, based on that there's a difference between this kind of a mitzvah, where the mitzvah is being done. The question is the intent. Where the other mitzvahs, hearing the shofar, you don't want to hear the shofar, the whole different shayla. The Alter Rebbe doesn't say that. Doesn't bring that up. Now, Mr. Brewer says could be. Efsha. Doesn't say yes. Okay. I take it further. When I thought that, I say the Alter Rebbe doesn't say it. So seemingly, unless he can say Shalei B'Tzoyne against his will, means not Shalei B'Tzoyne, don't bother me, I don't want to eat matzah, I don't know what matzah is, it's not good for me, whatever. I'm telling you not. Doesn't say though. The Mishnah Berurah says it. Alter Rebbe does not say it, the language like that. I'm saying adding to the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah says, I say, God forbid someone says, what about I don't say anything? But I think. You're stuffing me to take this matzah. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the mitzvah. I don't believe in it. I don't. You're talking to me about it. It's feeling whatever. I don't want to do it. I'm not. But even we're talking specifically matzah because here there's consumption. I'm eating it. It becomes part of me. So let's talk about those halachas, which is consumption, like matzah, specifically matzah. In my mind, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do the mitzvah. Not that I'm bothered. Not that I don't have a proactive desire to do a mitzvah, but I'm not against the mitzvah. I don't want to be bothered. Here, I have a proactive thought. I don't want to do the mitzvah. The Mishnah Berurah says, I say. Well, but I don't say I think. A lot of people think a lot of things. I don't. I told you once the story what happened with me. It was I don't like to tell the story, but I'm sure whoever this Yid now is, God has forgiven him. No question he did tshuva. But it had a profound impact on my little 16-year-old soul then. Happy with me? This is this fall of 63. Okay? Two little boys, me and my chaver, Rabbi Levitin Shapiro, the big yeshiva today in Florida. We're going off with Lulav and Esther, going off to on the first day of Yom Tov. We're going down to the park in Kingston Avenue. We're going down to the park to go around offering people to make the blessing on the 4 species. We go to the place. We didn't know exactly what we're dealing with here. Later, I got older, did I understand what we're dealing with. So that spot, that little park, playing checkers and chess, that chevra speaking Yiddish from Europe. I'm talking about Yiddish. My Yiddish doesn't compare to these chevra Yiddish. You're talking about Lithuanian Yiddish. A bunch of chevra, there must be a 40 chevra. I mean, these are real chevra. How do I know that these guys, the communist, socialists, Bundisten, communists, and Slugisten, neither the chevra who walked away from the yeshiva and all that, how do I know that I'm coming into a bunch of communists, a group of communists sitting there speaking Yiddish? No, I'm hearing Yiddish, and they're talking Yiddish, but these are the chevra. And we walk by, they go like this does, pop, pop, pop. Then I keep moving, Ingelach, like children, just keep going, pop, 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 pop. Don't bother. And then one fella got up. I could see him now. And I forgive you, brother. God loves you. He walks over to us 2 boys. And what he told us, I would never repeat it. I never did. About Moshe and all, he just looked us straight into 2 16-year-old boys, Babelach. And he wanted to tell really, like, he wanted to really impact the quality of our belief proactively. To the point that we looked at each other, we were so pale after we heard this man say that in perfect Yiddish. I mean, you got to understand what this means. We just looked and we were like pale. I mean, it's pale. The man did a job on us. Theologically, philosophically. Oh, if I meet him today, boy, we'd have a good time together. Oh, would we have a good time together? Oh, like my Chaver Shlomesachi says to me, but I was 16 years old then. So I'm thinking. Here the Mishnah Berurah says he says it. No. What about if you think it? How did that play out? Because this is going to be part of, we're going to get back to the original question in some way. So we have this issue of halacha. And now let's go back. Revelation at Sinai. Okay? Okay. Now we're talking about a transformation. You're talking about eating matzah? You're talking about matzah. What about if you're spiritually, like that fella, that man did to me, a friend, in the negative? We're talking about a life-shattering, transformative moment where you become your person A, and now you're becoming person B. Radically changed, not a little bit, today, No. You're talking about 6 o'clock in the morning, you're one person, and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're a radically different person, which is going to happen at Sinai. No, we made that deal. You're talking about a radical change, not only for the generation then, for all generations to come. As I said, the soul of all generations stood at Sinai. And not only that, the Rambam says that the 7 Noachite laws were given at Sinai for all the generations, for all mankind. All mankind was radically changed at Sinai. Radically. Dope concept. So here we go. Let's see what happened here that would cause a hesitation. Would God said, no, you're not getting out of this deal. Oh, no. I got you by this. I'm holding you, whether you like it or not, because I know it's for your good. You might not know it's for your good. You might not think you can handle this, but I know you can handle it because I created you and I can doubt you with the spirituality, but you can. I know you better than you know yourself. A mother once told me, those boys of mine, I know what they're going to think tomorrow morning. Not today. I know when they get up tomorrow morning what they're going to think, Rabbi. When I prepare the food, I know exactly what they want on Tuesday. I know what kind, but beyond that, I know what they're thinking, Rabbi. They don't have to even tell me. I got it. That's some mother. Boy, I didn't know. She was a tough lady. Okay, so here's the story. Let's open up the Chumash. Yisro, 19. We're coming to Sinai. Okay, so let's look at the word. What happened here? They come, I'll move up, the 3rd month of the Exodus, children of Israel from Egypt. On this day, they arrived in the wilderness of Sinai. They journeyed from their freedom. Then it says, Umesha Ola Elikim. Moses ascended to God. And Hashem called to him from the mountain, saying, So shall you, Moshe, say to the house of Jacob and tell to the sons of Israel. What? Tell them what? You have seen what I did to Egypt. I carried you on the wings of eagles and brought you to me. And now, if you hearken well to me and will keep my covenant, then you'll be a special treasure to me among all, for all of theirs of mine. You will be a kingdom of ministers in the holy nations. These are the word that you shall speak to the children of Israel. Give it to them in 2 lines. This is the core message. This is the shlichus. Remember, holy. You're gonna be holy, distinct. You got a mission to bring holiness to the world. That's the bottom line. What I'm giving you the Torah to do. The learning, the depth, the pilpul, learning Torah by day and by night, living the life of the mitzvot. What's the core? What's the purpose? You're going to be being Mamlechas Kodesh. You're going to be the Holy One who lifts up the world. Moshe comes, call them together. What do they respond? They heard this, and the people answered together. Everything that Hashem has spoken, we shall do. Nasa. Yes. We got a deal. What are we talking about here? There's only enhances the question. We got a deal. Clear, open. Okay. Now it gets further. We're coming, getting closer to the day. Okay. Further. Now, as we're getting ready for the revelation actually to happen, on the third day, when it was becoming morning, there was thunder and lightning and a heavy cloud on the mountain. The sound of the shofar was very powerful, and the entire people that were in the camp shuddered. They shuddered. Whoa. They shuddered. Okay, whoa, this is a very important moment. You know, ain't it day mishmility, it says in Talmud? It's brought down halacha. It's not the same seeing or hearing. Seeing is believing, right? We all know that expression. Seeing is believing. You could talk, you could explain, you could learn history books. No. A survivor from Auschwitz is a survivor from Auschwitz. A survivor from Gaza, a survivor, Ḥasa comes home. I don't care, we could read all about it. And we could go on Google and all that and see them. No. What they went through, what they go through. Oh, no. That's different than with all that we hear and all that we see. The one who lives it. And I was around going up against the survivors of the Gulag. In Russia, Yamach Shema, and the Stalin, Hitler, Yamach Shema in the camps. Yamach Shema, what's happening now with Hamas, Yamach Shema, the Yidden who are going through it. No. We can sit here in America and that we should, and we learn, and we have to be serious about it. But they're going through it, and we're here. So we're here. Everything was good. Yeah. But then the world started to shake. Everything started to shake. Thunder, lightning, and a heavy cloud on the mountain. The sound of the shofar very powerful. And the entire people that were in the camp shuddered. Suddenly, wow, this is real. The world is shuddering. The world is shaking. The godly presence is on the mountain. This is real. And we are expected to live up to a deal of hallowing the world and making Kaddish, that the godly presence should be in a way like almost like the presence should be like we're feeling it now. What are you talking about? How are we going to do that? Yeah, we went 49 days. Yeah, we reached this level. Yeah, but you're asking, where would you have these kind of spiritual powers to be able to affect the world? The godly presence is here. Look what's happened. The place is shaking. You want us to make the world shake? By the way we live our lives, when we take this deal, you're expecting us to walk from Sinai, and wherever we go, we show the godly presence, we show them the kedusha, the holiness, that the world shakes for God, not in a negative way, in an exalted way, in an uplifted way, a transformed way. You really expect us to affect that? This is tachlis time. Hey, wait a second. What are we buying into here? Now it's real. We see what this is about. That's what you want from us. That powerful, that we're being given the power to do that, and we have to do it. Suddenly the deal, they shuddered. Said God, no, you're in. No, you're not out. Go, not gonna, I don't care, shudder, nothing. There's no shudder here. Don't you go soft now. You're not going soft now. We're in. You said NASA. I understand. I am sensitive to you. But I'm telling you, it's for your good. And it's for the world's good. Because I'm giving the 630 commandments for you and 7 Noachite laws for all of mankind. Don't you hesitate now. We're going over the finish line. We didn't come all this way, and I didn't take you out of Egypt for you to hesitate now in the last minute. I'm not going to let you do it. Even if it means in some way I'm going to coerce you to do it. Because I know it's for your good. And I know it's good for humanity. God forbid, Ḥasa, just try to envision if the 10 Commandments hadn't been given. The 613 Commandments hadn't been given. The Noahide Code hadn't been given. What kind of world we have? What kind of moral world? What kind of sanctified world? If we didn't have at least the deal, how was it before Sinai? How was the world then? A wild world. God had to destroy the world with Noah. He built it because one Abraham came along, one man said, I believe in God. But even Abraham, because it was before Sinai, he had his children and all he made thousands and thousands and thousands and became called the army of Abraham. But not many remained from Abraham's army because it was before Sinai. Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel. We're going, now is the moment and you cannot flinch. I expect you to go through the mission because you can go through the mission. I am not in a it says God doesn't ask us to do something we're not capable to do. We might not understand it. So you sit and you learn and you come and you learn again. You daven and you pray and you feel. So your eyes open up and you see things you never saw before. You go into a place where you couldn't imagine going there. Something in you. You learn about the great prophets, the big prophetess, the men and the women who built Klal Yisrael, who built the world, who went out there. Eve, Job, they went out. You're part of this, and you got to make the deal now for all the generations to come. And I'm not letting you out. Says the Rambam about the eating. Here comes another word I want to say. I am saying this is akin to eating matzah. This is not the pshat minasof l'chutz. This is an external part of you. You're doing something. No. You think there's only physical nourishment, matzah, because come part of you. I am telling you, this will become part and parcel of you. The mitzvah here is to digest the feelings for God, the love of another man, another person, the sense of responsibility and compassion. When you walk in the street and you see someone on the street and you have compassion, where do you think it's coming from? It's coming from Sinai. That you have those feelings of compassion because your ancestors and you and your soul stood at Sinai. That's how you have compassion. If you don't have that, because others can walk right by you, I don't care, who are they? But if you have a compassion for someone else, it's Sinai. It comes from Sinai. Where do you think it came from? Was there any compassion before the Sinai? Only a few. The average person, no for nobody. Me. Everything's me. Before Sinai. Sinai instilled not just me, but extend yourself to someone else as much as me. Love your fellow as yourself. That comes from Sinai. And I gave it to you at Sinai. So I'm not letting you out. You are going to be the spiritual light for all the generations. You're going to carry the ball home to the Messianic time, like the Rambam writes. We're coming to that time when there'll be no war. There'll be no envy. Rambam says that. How do you think we're going to reach that if you didn't make the deal at Sinai? Only because you made the deal at Sinai. Are you able to have those feelings of those emunah and belief and to go out and walk the walk? Not just for your own need. So, we get together now. We're talking about we have to get ready. The big day is coming. Tonight we're going to learn. Tomorrow the 10 Commandments. Okay, you're coming in, you're going to salute the flag. And you're going to rededicate yourself to the mission. Everyone will. Everyone has a part of. But I was just coming, this last week I met somebody in the street. He came over to me. A nice guy. Just kind of say hi. I said, you see another person, smile. Smile to another person. You're making that person's day. You may be saving that person's life. You don't know what that person is. Smile. What do you think I got to walk over, tell somebody smile? I saw that by the Holy Rebbe. He walked in the street, he smiled to people. The Holy Rebbe smiled. Holy Rebbe tipped his hat to Mrs. the neighbor. I saw him tip the hat to her. I saw him. Everybody stood when the Rebbe walked by. Everybody stood. They stood and they marched. I marched down with the Torah, carrying the Torah, my father-in-law, Oliver Som's Torah, that he donated to Seattle. This is going back 20, 25 years, before COVID. And I'm walking with the Torah. And people are standing. And I'm walking down. And people just, they see me walking with the Torah, and people are standing. Standing. The Torah is going. Take the gate. Torah is going. I saw my own eyes. They don't know. They just felt and they saw something unique, something spiritual, something godly. I was carrying the Torah. I'm telling you, people, how they walk was solemn. Walking, going, people that's lifting themselves up as I walked by. In the walk in 1943, a good as Harabonim walk led by Rabbi Silva, which my father showed them all of a sudden by the feet, the previous Lubavitch, one of those from the Lubavitch Chabad delegation. That famous march in October 43, the only really march in the war for what was going on in Europe. The Rabbanim marched. I'm not going to get the whole, but they say in the story, as the rabbis marched, this is 1943, they were army people, and they stopped to attention. Down the street, down President's, I went up the street, they were getting up, and as they walked, the rabbis walked by, these young men were snapping at attention as the rabbis walked by. They saw holy, they saw Torah, they saw Sinai. So everybody here, prepare yourself for the next day. Get ready to come to shul, to rededicate ourselves to our mission. Remember all what's happening in Eretz Yisrael, our brothers and sisters. It's not an easy situation at all. God will watch over them. Our hostages have to be first and paramount in your eyes. Push yourself to do more for the hostages. Go visit the sick. Learn say Tehillim. Stay up and do something more. Go in the street and do helping others. They say, for the hostages. I'm doing it for the hostages. I'm doing an extra good deed for the hostages. Bring them home. Maybe we should merit the coming of the Messiah, speedily in our time. Now we're going to sing a song, one of the golden oldies, one of the old Hasidic songs. Songs. Ya yilada ladada ayidam radayadam radaw ya yidam ayidam radayilada ladada ayidam ayilada ladada ya yidam radayadam Ra ya idma yadam ra ya ladam dai ladam dai ladam ra ya ladam ai ladai ladai ladam ra ya ladam ai ladai idma Rayadam, Raoyayidam, Yayaladam, Madam, Yoyanayidam, 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 Yina yina la da ya yidmam Oh, Yaram. Oh, Yaidimam. I let Oh, Yaram. Let's go, Fela. Dum da da dum da da la da la da la da la da hey da 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 la la wa ya da ya la mai la la hey la 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 hey ya mai la la hey ya ma la ma la la hey la ma la la hey ya ma ya hey Hey, but have a beautiful Shabbos and a good Yontif. We're going to the promised land. Everybody be strong. We're going to go all the way together. Unity.